fried chicken, and wontons. And
another reason to be
Hey YouTube, RicoKnows here. Good to see you guys. Sorry about the lighting. We're still trying to figure out the whole studio and everything. It's good to be back. Shout out to you guys. I haven't done a podcast or a live stream on YouTube in a very long time. It's been several months now. There's a couple reasons for that. We're in the middle of a move. For those of you on YouTube who don't know, went ahead and bought my dream home. Currently sitting up here in the lab and took a lot of moving parts, a lot of logistics to get that done, but we're here now. We're ready to talk about sports. I'm going to be doing a live stream later tonight for the transfer portal and talking about the quarterbacks. I'm going to do a quarterback episode, and then we're going to build from there. We do a quarterback, a wide receiver, running back, all that other stuff. So we're going to get to that. But before we start on the season, I wanted to tell you that this episode is going to be about the UFC. We have another season of UFC starting. If you guys aren't aware, last year I was just a guy talking about UFC, and I was just minding my own business. I was watching UFC fights with the MVPs on live stream on YouTube, and shout out to my MVPs, the members on Patreon or YouTube. And one of the members just said, "Hey Rico, you know, when you pick UFC fights, you get them right so often. Like it's really noticeable. You know what you're talking about." Now, my background in fighting is I was a martial arts expert for the last 20 years now. I was a hand-to-hand combat instructor in the military as well. Highest level hand-to-hand combat instructor in the Army. I'm a level 4 combatives instructor, honor graduate, all that stuff. Was a high school wrestler. I've been a martial arts instructor for a living, like an actual job, where I certified black belts in various martial arts and whatnot. And I was just doing that job most recently. I think it was February of 2023. And then I stopped to become a full-time content creator. And I've never looked back, and this is what I do now. So you take the background of wrestling, understanding martial arts, and understanding MMA. I was a fighter for about, I'd say 10 years. I was a coach for another 10 years. And I have thousands of students out there. Shout out to all of them. But there's videos of me on YouTube teaching and fighting, but none of that has anything to do with, showing your worth when it comes to the UFC. You want to have a frame of mind. You want to have a point of reference. You want to be good at this. But if it was that easy, right? Let's just say everybody had a fighting background. They knew about sports. They'd be able to do what I do. It's not quite the same, right? There's plenty of football fans. They don't have the slightest clue how to coach it, or how to pick it or cap it. And I do that every single day of my life. So for me to be a full-time college football guy and then segue towards the UFC was something that not a lot of people saw coming. Like, a lot of people did not see it coming. And I always have these ideas. I have these $1 million ideas, and I just have to let them come to fruition. Like, I have to apply some elbow grease to them, and then they work out. I can tell you guys one right now. I'm going to show you guys. This is my high school film reviews. I do high school film reviews, and I put it on Twitter, and I let the world know who these players are and what level they can play at. And yeah, I don't have an entire website right now, but I do these individually by myself, and I evaluate the players, and then I go and reach out to the coaches, and I try to help these young men get scholarships, try to help these young men land on their feet somewhere, get additional exposure. I use my platform on TikTok for that. TikTok is probably at 170,000 followers. And I do my best to make sure that people can see their tape and see their highlights. And I might say some things that are kind of catchy, like, that guy's finding the hole like, a kid on prom night or something like that. But at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is utilize our platforms for the greater good, right? And I have these ideas. So one idea was, well, let's start doing MMA. And let's start doing MMA full-time. We're going to start in January, which is what we did. We started, you see this whole thing here? These are all the fights. Now, these aren't all UFC fights. This is all MMA. I guess if I went in here and I did UFC, because we did do some PFL. But what it really came down to was we started down here and we worked our way up through these fight cards week after week after week. And if you're an MVP and you're not betting on the UFC, you're doing yourself a grave disservice. But I need you guys to understand that this is one of these $1 million ideas that has really hit its full stride. MVP started showing up in the off season, and they're going to be here year round because we do these every single week. Think of these as every single Saturday, like college football game day. Except, look how many weeks. This is a 42 game week, 42 game season. We have 42 fight cards in a calendar year. And if you want to know how well we did this year, you can go in here, and I can pull it up for you. And without confusing you on all this chart, and this show might be a little boring for the non-MVPs out there, the casual fan, but I'm showing you all the fight cards. They're all down here. And at the end of the year, we ended up 319 and 190. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means I'm picking fights at 62.5%. That's not very good, according to some people. You need to understand that in some of these, I am intentionally picking a loser. In some of these, I'm not trying to get the fight right. I'm trying to get your bet right or your most value. And I apologize for the glare. We're trying to work on the lighting. I'm going to go adjust this real quick. I don't want to sit here like this. One second. See what happens. This should be good. Yeah, we should be fine. All right. So my point is that this is always fluid, and it's always evolving. And I'm going to try to show you guys some of this. I'm going to go all the way back, and it's not going to look the way it does now. The card changes, and this happens every year. And I want everybody to kind of brace themselves as we evolve, because there are some things we can improve on next season, and a lot of it has to do with the presentation, and I'll get there. We get there over time. But if we went back here, we're at March Madness. That's last year. I'm assuming this is the first fight card of the year. And look how it looked. Do you see the difference? The whole card is just, it's unpresentable. But this is what I had for you guys at the beginning of the year. Both parlays missed. Props missed. Things of this nature. I told you don't bet this one. We don't even do that anymore. It's not even an option to say anymore. We pick every single fight. I let you know when not to bet them. The greens are locks. The black text is a lean. If you see, it's not in bold. There's just a lot of randomness to this, and it wasn't quite refined the way it should be. Okay? Ended up going 7-3 on this card. Obviously much worse when you lose in your parlays. You can blame a whole lot of things when it comes to this card and why we missed. The big one is, well, Rico, you took Johnny Walker in the main event. And that's a prime example of me taking a guy who I don't think is going to win the fight, but the odds are not advantageous for you to take Ankalaev. So would my record have been better? Yes. My record would have been 8-2, right? And I would have been at 80%. And this is why you need to sit down, watch the videos. And back then, I would make a video for every single fight. Every single fight. I would tell you Weston Wilson doesn't belong in the UFC, or, you know, a number of things I would say. But as you grow and you make better decisions, the product changes. Now, UFC 297 was accidentally deleted. The results were not deleted. And we have that posted on Patreon, just so we're clear. But here's what it looks like. UFC 297, by the way, was 7-5. Some cards were moved around. I think that's what happened here. I can go to Fight Night 2. There we go. So 297 was accidentally deleted, but we went 7-5 that night. Don't know what happened that night. It is what it is. By the way, UFC 296 does not count against the record. That was a dry run, and that will not show up in any of the results. And that's because I want to remember, this was like a year ago. I think I was on vacation, and I actually didn't pick the fights. Somebody else that works for me picked the fights, and I said, no, we're not doing that. This guy, he didn't pick them right. Shout out to Tiger Lee. That's exactly who it was. You guys don't know him. He works behind the scenes. Jeremy, what's up, man? Jeremy Tran, my boy. So we get to this particular fight card, and we start picking things right. What did we miss here? We missed value bets. And missing value bets is when we take an underdog to beat the favorite. We were 5-4 at that point. It's usually looking really good, especially if you can get underdogs above 40%. And I'll explain that in a little bit. But at the end of the year, value bets were just one of these things you had to stay away from or fade altogether. You couldn't take them because they weren't hitting. They really weren't. Granted, we hit 2 of them on this card, right? But it's just not something that I could consistently say, yeah, I'm going to take this and tell you to bet money on it. Okay. So as we got better, you start to see more prop ideas show up and the fight cards start populating, but you still don't see the results underneath. You don't see percentages for locks, leans, and values. You don't see the format hasn't quite got there. Now we're getting there. We still don't have a column for props and explaining things, so I'm having to put props over here. And this is a card where we absolutely dominated. Shout out to the MVPs. And there are nights like this. It'll say 9-3 down here. And someone will say, well, 9-3, you missed all day. No, we didn't miss. The 3 misses were all value bets, something we would never parlay, something we didn't believe in for the most part. That means all our parlays and props hit for this card. MVPs ate really good this week. And we're going to have weeks like this in the offseason. We're also going to have weeks like this, where I take Brandon Moreno and he does not get it done against Royval. It hurts. It hurts when you get it wrong, but it's real. Some of these fights get canceled. That's what the orange means. And sometimes I take a chance on somebody and it doesn't work out. It's happened a few times. I believe in a guy and it doesn't happen. But look, even on a fight card like this where we went 6-6, we know that if you take the top 3, remember these are in order by confidence, we're winning a ton of money. MVPs are winning a ton of money. So we had it right. And we were able to flip units. And there's some guys out there who say, Rico, how hard is it to pick a minus 650 winner? Well, it probably isn't all that hard. It probably isn't. But I'm going to tell you guys that there are times when you miss. And there are times you say things and you get it right. And there's times you say things, you get it wrong. But I'm going to tell you that something like this, do you guys understand that you don't want to give me credit, but I picked the 520 to win? I picked the 520 to win, and the reason these props messed here is because I went against the 520. I was hedging the bet with these parlays, but I took the 520 to win. How hard is it to pick a 520 to win? In the UFC, you're one punch away. So the format evolves, and you start getting stuff like this. How remarkable is this? Imagine you get a full fight card correct. We got every single fight right this night. And it wasn't nearly as profitable as the following week when I got everything right on the parlay props and ideas. And this is the 12-2. This 85% is better than the 100%. It really is when it comes to payouts. And I need people to understand that doing this week in and week out is so difficult. It's the UFC, man. Somebody else is going to win and embarrass you. But I took a chance and told you Dustin Poirier is supposed to win this fight. And at that time, nobody believed in it like that. Okay? There's a number of picks I made that the sports books will tell you you shouldn't have done it. And I'm sitting there going, yes, I will. Yes, I will. And I see guys on the internet get it wrong all the time. Now, do I think Mike Davis is winning this fight? Hell yes. But I can't take it at minus 460. It's not the responsible thing to do. What about that 720 from Kennedy? Lost us everything. It was a terrible night that night. And we still went 8-4, but we lost our ass that night. UFC is a different animal when it comes to betting. I just wanted to show you guys the evolution of the chart, the evolution of our picks throughout the year. There are weeks like this. There are weeks where you get it all wrong. Not many, though. We had 7 terrible cards on the year, but most of it is like this. And these are multi-unit bets here. At the top 3 are your multi-unit bets, the ones you should believe in the most. And I just wanted to take a moment to give you guys a shout out to the MVPs who stick around all year long, who believe in what we're doing, and understand that we're assessing fighters and anything can happen in the fights. Now, some things that aren't annotated on these results, and we're probably going to do them next year, at least keep track of the results, is Dana White Contender Series. We started winning a ton of money on Dana White Contender Series. We started getting, we got a good portion of them right. They were going chalk for a while, and I was analyzing the fighters, and I said, oh my goodness, this is where it belongs. So, feeling really good about that. Dana White Contender Series, getting it right. Probably going to lean towards PFL in the offseason if I have time. Obviously, I have other ideas. I'm looking at transfer portal. I'm looking at high school film reviews. I'm getting ready for futures bets. Shout out to the MVPs. And we did really well in futures bets as well. So it's just a lot of different avenues of how you can make money year round. But I need people to understand the UFC is so volatile that you can be winning a fight completely, like Victor Petrino here, and then get put to sleep a second later. And that really happened in front of all of us. That really happened. Okay? There are times I have a good read and we dominate, and there are times we blow it. And people need to understand that when you're missing all these value bets, it might look bad on the card. I saw an MVP quit after this 7-7 night. You should have hit 3 out of your 4 parlays because you're betting the top 4. You should have hit 3 out of your top 4 parlays, but you don't have it in you. You're not built like that because you don't understand how to bet on the UFC the way we're doing it. We finished the year 82.46% on locks. 82.46% on locks. Almost 83%. What does that mean? That means when I tell you a matchup is going down and I tell you this guy's going to win and he can't lose, I'm right 82.5% of the time. It's remarkable if you can learn how to parlay those picks. The leans, when I tell you it's a coin flip, but we're going to go with one, we're going to go with the guy, I'm right 63% of the time. It's pretty decent. I wanted to be above 64%, but sometimes the matchups are really close. But getting it right, you can just bet lean straight across, and you would be in the plus money big time. These are pretty good odds on most leans. You're going to see the minus 110s, 245s, 215s. It's not going to be, I mean, we did this just because I don't want you making that a lock, because I don't want you parlaying a 770. All right, so there's a lot of betting strategy involved. A lot of MVPs believe in it, and they get after it. One thing we started getting after was going the distance, over rounds, winning by decision. Something I didn't touch on all year was the plus or minus 3.5 or winning one round on the scorecards. I didn't want to confuse a lot of UFC, I should say MMA bettors, a lot of our new MVPs who don't quite know how to bet on UFC. I didn't want to get too complex for you, so I just kept it to money line, over under on rounds, method, things of that nature. And every now and then, if you talk to me, I would tell you about this guy's going to win a round or we're going to get a split decision, things like that. That enables you to bet on that 3.5. But I don't really discuss that too much. We're handicapping ourselves to make it more difficult for us, but we're still getting it right. We're still knocking it out the park. Okay. You can compare my numbers with anybody in the world. What I would tell you is when somebody asks me, Rico, what's your picks? Like 53% on parlays and props. What's your picks, or how much are you up? What's your ROI? What's your this, that, or the other? I would just retort back to you guys, and please understand this. What is your record when betting on the UFC? What is it? Whatever it is, you become an MVP, you watch the channel, you listen to my assessment of the fighters, your record, whatever it will improve. And that's all I am. I'm here to help you improve. I don't have any promises of making you rich or getting you paid. Some people are really good at this. Some people, and I'm talking about my MVPs, some guys have improved so much in their betting. Shout out to Lucky Luciano or who showed up late. And I hate to exclude certain people because I know all of you guys. But I'm just saying that certain guys are really good at betting on the UFC. Then there's people who had no knowledge of the UFC. But you watch the videos, you watch the fights with us on the Discord server, you listen to the analysis and the play-by-play. We don't listen to Joe Rogan. We don't listen to Daniel Cormier or any of those guys in the booth. It's me. It's me. I'm going to tell you what fighters are trying to do, a win to live bet. And it's so cool that when we get over 100 people in the Discord server during the fights and they're listening to me, and they make a ton of money because we make a decision right there on the spot. Now, a lot of you guys don't come to the Discord server. A lot of you guys just stick to the channel, and that's fine. We have over 2,000 MVPs. You're not all going to show up. I get it. We only have 300 seats on the stage anyways. But if you care about your money and you want to win, just show up, man. Just show up and give it a chance. That's all I'm saying. Shout out to the MVPs who stuck with me. I'm going to run to the chat real quick. I highly doubt there's any chat in here. There's not a lot of people watching. I'm actually doing this as a dry run for the lighting, the sound in the studios, because I'm going to do a live stream tonight on the transfer portal. But let's go to the chat and see what's up. Yeah, it's just E-Money. I'm 100% because I don't bet. What about Chael? Chael Sonnen? Is that who we're talking about? Chael Sonnen? Shout out to E-Money. E-Money, I've known that man my whole life. I appreciate him. E-Money is the truth. He got a daughter doing some jiu-jitsu out there. He's the truth. You need to look into a dude named Chepe. Chepe's the real deal. He's a dog. But yeah, you're talking about Chael Sonnen? I can't deal with you, man. I appreciate you guys for all that you are. You guys make my life possible. I'm eternally grateful to every MVP who stuck around the year round. I need you guys to understand, football season is very seasonal. Obviously, it's only about 4 months long. So the amount of revenue I create during football season enables me to be a full-time capper. Got it? Full-time content creator. It's the off season where it's really scary. You're pushing off against the wall. You don't have as many MVPs. You're like, man, who's going to stick around with me? Who's going to believe in me? And in came in the UFC MVPs that kept this channel afloat and kept my platforms going. And we just exploded and we never looked back. So I appreciate all you guys. Thank you for being MVPs year round. Remember, UFC, it's on a break right now. I think our first fight card is January 10th. I've already looked into it. Obviously, I'm always doing research and getting ready. What I'll tell you guys is once we get going in the offseason for UFC 2025, it doesn't stop. It's every week. And just like you see here, we're going to be winning a ton of money all season long. And it's going to be pretty neat to meet new people, get new MVPs. We get them all year. But if you want a discount on the annual MVP package, just pay a year in advance. That's what people do. They sign up for the annual membership. It's like $255 for the year. You get 2 months free. It's $25 a month. I never raised the price in the last 2 years. And you won't regret it. I mean, this is what we do. We do UFC, we do college football, and then we do Olympics, March Madness, things of that nature. But I'm typically just studying fighters and college football rosters. And I'm trying to do my best to get you guys ahead and give you an advantage. So thank you guys for being MVPs. Thank you guys for believing in me. I just wanted to do this quick show, give you guys a shout out, and then keep it moving. All right. I'll see you guys on the flip side. Shout out to all the MVPs. Your friends don't know, but Rico knows. Peace, y'all. I'm out.